All right, cool. It is live. You ready, sir?
Yes, sir.
What's up, NDL? My favorite time of the year. Christmas is almost here, which means for some people, work is very easy. For some people, work is very difficult. Regardless, Christmas is my favorite holiday. I'm ready for it to get here ASAP and take a little bit of a break. But we're here to talk some NDL football. So, no Doc this week. He'll be back next week. So, we'll be tag teaming again, me and Vic. Mr. Vic, how are you doing, sir?
I'm all right. I'm all right. We shout out to our stablemate Doc. He's going through it right now personally. Through some things with his family. Our hearts are with him. We with you, brother, and we'll see you when you get back.
Yep, 100% ditto on that. 100%. Well, guess we should start talking about what's going on in football. A lot going on, obviously, in real life with the college football playoffs starting today. Two scheduled games and two bye weeks scheduled today. So that's exciting, I'm sure, for a lot of people. Let's talk about the NDL. Starting out with the top 25, as we always do. This is the first block where we got a nice chunk of teams in the top 25, five to be exact. East Carolina, 15th in both polls. Washington State, 17th in both polls. Buffalo breaking through 20th in both. Western Michigan, their first time in the polls, 21st in both. And you've got Fresno State, or 23rd, and the coaches 25th in the media. And then kind of the next group of teams, you've got UConn. They dropped down to 32nd. They were, knocking on the door. And then Memphis, that early season loss before school, but now they sit at 34th. I believe it was Mississippi State, the disconnect at the end of the game, but Memphis has rebounded quite nicely. Just one loss on the season, sitting in 34th. So, two questions for you, Vic. One, are you surprised by anyone who was left out? And two, are there any teams on your radar for the next set of polls?
No, I'm not surprised that anybody was left out. I pretty much knew that these teams that are ranked would have been ranked. I had kind of called the last two last week, saying it was going to be a big week for them because they're going to most likely be ranked in the next poll, which is Western Michigan and Fresno State. And voila, they are ranked in the next poll. Uh, this being the next poll. The next team I see that is on my radar could potentially be Temple once they play that East Carolina game, and if they win that East Carolina game. Another one could be Troy in the future that could be ranked. They're 5-1 right now. But that's about it right now. What about you?
I will agree on Temple, because that is a huge game. Temple right now is 6-1. So a win there, 7-1, an excellent start to the season, a win against a team that's undefeated and, in the middle of the polls. So that will definitely be a nice boost visually. Popping up on the scoreboard, seeing that, I think that would carry a lot of weight for Temple. It's kind of tough for the second team I'm thinking about because like Southern Miss was close. They just dropped the game this current block. So they sit at 5-2. I'd say probably the next team I would look at would be SDSU. And because they have Fresno State this block, if they're able to get a win against Fresno State, they stay undefeated in conference play. Fresno State's been rolling so far this season, so that would be a nice, impactful win. I think that would get some eyes turned on them. We'll talk about SDSU a little bit later, but those are the two teams that I'm kind of looking at right now.
All right. All right. Well, we did have some Block 4 results that happened this past week. The first game we got up is the Louisiana Raging Cajun defeating James Madison 34-31. ULM had a big 21-point third quarter. to take and extend the lead there for them, and that's basically what did it for them. What were your thoughts on this game?
Well, one thing that was unusual, we saw that apparently the chipstick was in full effect in this game because five turnovers by James Madison and three of them being via fumble. That is always going to sting because interception is an interception. It's just a flat out turnover. But when there's a fumble, it's a scramble to the ball. Who gets it? It's a lot of 50-50 when that happens. And, Cajuns forced four fumbles and recovered three. Drive stoppers, momentum stoppers, tough luck. But at the end of the day, the Cajuns find a way to get the dub. A big third quarter to kind of get the momentum shifted the other way. And a big win for them for James Madison. It makes things a little interesting in the Sun Belt. We'll talk about that later too. They get their first conference loss, and man, that East Division is shaping up to be a fun race. Tell you that much.
That's definitely shaping out the one conference that still has divisions, and the division races are pretty much at stake at all times from here on out.
Well, next up, we have the head of the CFP, the chairman, Coach 6 Feet, eking one out against UMass, 25-24. So with that win, Kent State improves to 4-2, increasing his draft stock going into next season. Don't tell the fan base that. But a good, solid game. Turnovers, kind of crazy. You lose a turnover battle, -2, but still find a way to win a big touchdown in the fourth quarter and basically able to hold on. The key stat that I looked at in this game was the third down percentage in terms of conversions. Kent State 6 for 8, so able to stay on the field and sustain drives. UMass 1 for 5. Field position that matters, and just momentum, just being able to get off the field. So good defense by Kent State when it mattered most, and they find a way to get the win on the road. How you feel about this one, sir?
Good road win by Kent State. I believe I picked UMass last week, so he proved me wrong on that one. Um, you got to win the third down battle. That and the turnover, I feel like, is the most key important parts of this game. Yeah, it's cliche, but turnovers and third downs, it really does affect it. Like I've never seen anybody now. If it has been uh, a case of this, then let me know. But I haven't seen nobody go 5 or 6 or 7 or 9 on third down and lose.
Yeah, it's
No, I'm
really
pretty
hard
sure
to.
it probably is. I'm pretty sure it's probably happened. I'm not down that it hasn't or hasn't, but I haven't personally seen somebody go 7 or 9 or 8 or 10. High 70, 75, 80% on third downs and lose. Same with the turnover battle. I haven't seen one of those outlier games, pun intended, where someone has 5 turnovers but wins the game.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you're converting third downs, I think two things probably come to mind. Either one, it's third and manageable, so it's not you're not seeing like third and 13s and third and nines converted on a regular basis. Oh, we can be honest on this game, that could be the case. But in general, you're thinking if you're converting at a high rate, it's going to be 3rd and 5 or less. So the whole playbook is open. So the defense is really having to try to guess what you're doing as opposed to being able to just drop 8 guys, 7 guys into coverage, looking for something, certain areas of the field to be attacked. And it does matter for time of possession. So I know we're not really in a dynasty where you have to worry about wear and tear, wear and tear, but I've seen some guys yellow in the games that I've been able to tune into. So it does matter when you get to the second half and you're able to take advantage of that. Also for field position, it's really big. you have to go three and out. The other team's probably going to get good field position. If you can get a first down or two and punt, they're going to be back up inside the 20. So you make the work harder for their offense. That's what you want. Big win by Kent State. He's got four. Definitely looking to make it to a bowl game. We'll have to see how he finishes out, but a really good season for him so far.
Oh yeah, definitely good season. Another, well, we had a shootout. The next game we're going to cover is a couple of shootouts, and we're going to package them together because they are shootouts. ODU 45, Marshall 40. ODU gets their first win of the season. Marshall almost came back. They had 19 fourth quarter points, but they just couldn't get it done, losing by five. And another one is Fresno beating Colorado State 48-40 in OT. Uh, Definitely a shootout. They avoid the upset in OT. It was a close game, closer than some may have thought. But Dupree with 135 yards and three TDs in the game, very much a standout player in the game. What were your thoughts on both of these games?
Oh, these are games that we've gotten accustomed to seeing this game cycle in the NDL. The race to 40. And unfortunately, 40 wasn't enough for two teams anyway. Um, just got to find ways to continue to put up points and avoid turning over the ball. Marshall, a hell of a run in the second half to try to get back in the game and get the dub. But those two interceptions, those are going to hurt. Those are going to hurt a lot. And for Old Dominion, definitely kudos to Chill or Chili, Chill, get the name right. He gets his first
Really
win on
cool.
the season. Happy for him. Man, it's so frustrating to have to wait late into the season because then you start to have the doubts. Is it going to happen? Can we find a way for it to happen? Odds are, when you're struggling like that, you had some games that could have gone in your favor, but you just couldn't make enough plays. So happy to see that he was able to do so. That Colorado State Fresno game, very, very interesting because when you're the underdog, RUNC Hill coming in on the road, Fresno looking good, their run game looking good, and Luke still had a good game. He had 124 for four touchdowns. Your question is, what can we do to try to stay in this game? Are we going to try to slow him down? Or are we going to try to keep up with him? And he got behind. He was able to fight back into the game, keep up, force overtime. Just when you had to have the plays in OT, he couldn't make them. So Fresno State gets to take a deep breath after that because that was stressful. On the flip side, Colorado State, they're disappointed with the loss, but that is a momentum builder for them going forward to play one of the top guys in the conference on the road and take them to the last possession. That's big.
That's a confidence booster right there. Knowing that you could take one of the top teams in conference to overtime and almost pull it out, that's a confidence booster for the rest of the season. Like it's gonna gain confidence on, can I do this with this team? Yes, you can. Like we said, Dupree was definitely the standout um, in this game with three touchdowns. Um, Now with Fresno State, my question to you is: can they go undefeated in conference?
That's well, if they're gonna if they're not gonna do it, it'll be from this block, in my opinion. They have
But
quite
can
the
they
block
do?
ahead of them.
Can they do it? Can they do it though?
Well, I think we'll talk about that later when we talk about the previews. Little suspense.
All right. We'll save it. We'll save it. In the other game, Devin Roche, our familiar face, had like over 200 and I think 25 total yards in that game, three touchdowns. So he was the difference in that game. Good to see him have a great game. And overall, defense is definitely defense.
Defense is offensive. That's what it is.
Defense is offensive. You're right about that.
Well, we'll actually get to see some defense in the next game we're looking at. Southern Miss and Georgia Southern. That was a game that we were looking at in the preview, and it was one that
Mhm.
really caught our eye because Georgia Southern has been more of a defensive team, trying to slow teams down, slow down the pace of the game, whereas Southern Miss is trying to run a track meet out there and put up points every possession. And this game was a low scoring game, I guess, in NDL standards right now. They combined for 34 points. Southern Miss wins this one pretty comfortably 24 to 10. The defense for Southern Miss, the one matchup that we really didn't talk about was their defense against the Georgia Southern offense. They won that one, and that really was the difference in the game. French had 3 interceptions, and Southern Miss, even playing a style of football that they probably didn't want to play in a slow, no, just a slower paced game, they're able to still enforce their will and they get the win. So big win for them. Definitely needed in conference play. How you feel about this game?
Definitely knowing Big Red and his play style like I do, um, he definitely didn't force it. He definitely didn't force it. Sometimes he'll force certain stuff, and he'll even say it in the stream when he's mic'd up, like, "Oh, forget it. I'm about to go for it. Um, I'm about to do this, or I'm about to do that. I'm about to push the issue." He didn't push the issue. He just looked at it, knew that he could shut down Georgia Southern's offense, which he completely did. Like you said, that was the story of the game, was him shutting down Georgia Southern's offense. And then he just coasted from there. He just knew, hey, I'm gonna take the win. I'm not gonna force stuff and potentially cause myself harm and cause this game to be closer than what it needs to be, or have this game be a sweat fest or anything like that. I'm just gonna cruise on the victory because I know I got it right here and I don't need to force the issue. And that's a great thing to have, and great mindset to have when it comes to that, knowing that you don't have to force the issue to get stats or get points or anything like that, or you feel like you need to just force the issue. You can just take what the defense is giving you, take what you're doing, and just slow it down and just take the win. And I'm glad he took that advice from himself and took the win.
Yeah, there's two other things that stood out to me in this game too. One, Arnold, 11 carries for 12 yards. So not just that the defense played well, the defense completely took away the run game and forced Georgia Southern to be one dimensional. And one other thing that some may forget or some may not know, not this game cycle, but last game cycle, Big Red had Georgia Southern. So he's familiar with some of these players and some of their skill sets. So that
Definitely, definitely.
also helps too. I mean, Cobb won the Belendikoff with him during his time there. So knowing, hey, I know what these guys are capable of doing. I know some of their strengths and weaknesses that may be kind of hidden behind their rating. So knowing how to attack, that definitely using that knowledge to your advantage helps as well. So a big win for Georgia Southern.
Next game we got on the docket is from your conference, Conference USA. Got Sam Houston 56 and UTEP 42. That is 3 wins in a row, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in the coach's spotlight there. For Sam Houston, Porter with, oh God, 419 total yards. 419 total yards. 6 rushing TDs and 1 receiving TD. Sam Houston was up 35-14 at the half, but UTEP got themselves back in the game in the second half and kept it respectable. What were your thoughts on Porter's performance first and the game overall second?
Well, for Porter, you want to talk about having a standout game. That's the standout game. It's interesting when you watch running backs because you see the stat line and just like your reaction, like, oh my God, he had over 400 yards. But I watched the game and Sam Houston needed every bit of those 400 yards because UTEP was coming. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
they had it. It was beast mode for them in the fourth quarter. They were coming in. Porter was doing all he could to help try to maintain the lead, and the lack of tackling certainly helps as well by UTEP. Them not being able to stop the run is like, hey, we got to run the ball. You can't stop it. We're trying to chew up the clock to get, trying to get closer to the end of the game. And he had some really nice runs down the stretch for them to be able to pull it out. Sam Houston may have unlocked something going forward, and it helps in two ways. One, like obviously, when you have a performance like that, that's going to catch people's eyes and probably the attention of defensive coordinators going forward. But that could open up things for other players too. Key in on the run, extra guys in the box, give a chance for the receivers to make some plays down the field. And they're playing good football right now. They went from 0-4 to 3-4. So a rough start to the season. A couple of those games, you're like, man, we have a play here or there. We might have been able to get a win. And then now things are rolling for them. Three in a row, feeling confident on both sides of the ball. We'll see how things finish out for them over the course of the season. But with the way UTEP's offense has looked so far this season, being able to slow them down in the first half and then hold on in the second half behind Porter's legs, a pretty impressive win for Sam Houston.
Definitely a impressive win for Sam Houston. Getting a good conference win. I think all three of these wins are conference wins, so that's a good thing, obviously. He started out slow, but is picking it up now. Like I said, I'll say more about that later on in the show. Like you said, I watched the game too. Like you said, Porter's yards were needed. Like it wasn't like they wasn't needed. Like he needed every bit of those yards. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get my stats because once the second half kicked off, UTEP was up and running offensively, so he had to stop the momentum that UTEP was having. Because once a team gets momentum, as we both know, and as we all know that's listening, once a team gets momentum, it's like a snowball effect. It just goes downhill. So if you got somebody that's going off, especially in the run game, um, you need to keep it going. You need to put your foot on the neck because momentum is a dangerous drug, and in this game, it's a drug that pays off for the other team.
Yeah, I've seen. I'm sure we all have instances of seeing where a player or two completely flips everything on its head for a game, and it's hard trying to swim upstream once that happens. So just find a way to win if you can. And in this case, it was behind Porter's legs. Great showing for him. Probably going to be his best performance of the season. A really standout moment for the Sam Houston roster, I guess, as a whole. Just, I guess, the team. Trying to think of the right word to use, but their team, like that's something pretty cool to see the performance he had, especially in a spot where you needed him to do so. But we're going to talk about the run game. Uh,
Mhm.
the next game, we were interested in that matchup, and it did not go the way that we might have hoped that it would have went. Virginia Tech and UConn, two longtime vets of the league, and a rare word that we do not see on this game cycle very often, a shutout. Tech winning 31-0. Tough sledding on the ground for UConn in this one. Only 65 yards rushing. They've been a team that has run the ball pretty well. since we've been back in the NDL under Dave. It's 121 yards of offense in this one for Virginia Tech. Drones can't really be more efficient than that. 16 for 17, 201 yards, and three touchdowns. So now UConn, they had a sim loss to NC State. So they dropped their second game of the season. I got to see a little bit of this one. Unfortunately, it was in the second half, so I didn't get to see like the full context of how the game broke down. Looking at this, how do you feel about UConn going forward? It's a tough one.
It's a tough loss. I feel like they can recover going forward, but as far as CFP hopes, they were dashed at the end of this game. They don't have any like real like key games after this. Only key games they had was this one and the NC State one. Unfortunately, the NC State one got sim, and he took the sim loss. But two losses now in the season basically cripple your hopes if you're an independent like UConn.
Yeah, hate to see it. And man, it's cool because I just played BT for the first time last season. And even for some of the shortcomings defensively on this game, playing against his defense was a fun challenge. Trying to figure out where I could fit the ball in. When he wants to take something away, an area of the field, he takes it away, and he's a pretty good user too. So I had to play him for the first time last season. UConn in the Cup, we were able to make it through a quarter before a disconnect, and that's my first time playing him too. So like these are guys that have been in the league longer than me, and it's cool to see those guys doing battle against each other. I know they played before. I believe they pretty much are like home and home alternating. I remember them playing, if not last season, at least the season before. I always like to see the old vets. No offense, I know they're not old, but the old vets in terms of NDL tenure getting on the
Oh
field
yeah,
and playing against each other.
and it's an old Big East matchup.
That too, yeah.
The old Big East matchup. You gotta love that. Gotta love the old Big East matchup. Only one incompletion is crazy. Not gonna lie. He finished the whole game with one incompletion. That's crazy.
And it wasn't an
Moving,
interception. That's the
and it
crazy part
wasn't
because
an interception. You're right. It was a pure incompletion. You only had one incompletion, and it was a true incompletion. Moving forward for Virginia Tech, they gonna have to see what's going on with the run game because it was not good. Even though they had a dominant effort, it wasn't because of the run game.
yeah, that's a just that. I'm not surprised that Virginia Tech won. I picked them to win a close game, but I was surprised in the manner that they won. I didn't think it would be.
A
I didn't
shutout.
think it would be a shutout at all.
Nah, it's hard to shut somebody out in the NDL. It definitely is. It's hard.
Yeah, worst case, I will call timeouts and go down there and kick a field goal. I'll be
Man,
damned. I'll take
you,
the 3 points.
you. I will get my best plays and then take all three timeouts if needed to kick that field goal. I'm not even playing. I'm trying to avoid that at all costs. I have not been shut out before, so and I will try to do anything in my power not to be shut out. At least give me one. At least. The next game we got on the docket is Troy and ULM. This was a close battle, low scoring, NDL standard wise, low scoring, 21-20. Troy does improve to 5-1. That's your guy, Duvid. They are 3-0 in the Sun Belt. Dortich with 103 yards and a touchdown. McReynolds for ULM with 94 rushing yards and a touchdown. What did you think of your guy, Duvid, and Troy's performance here today
I was
in
curious
this
for
game?
this one because D Nazi has quietly been putting some good performances together. Like record wise, he is 5-3. So he's got a winning record. He's killing it right now. He himself is 3-1 in conference play. This was a big game to me because in that division in the West, you have those two and Southern Miss. They're all battling for at least they're the front runners for the moment, battling for that division title to play in the conference championship. So these games were going to matter going in. And for Troy, just to they've put up over 40 points in a handful of games. Their passing attack has been tough to stop. And in a game where, okay, we're going to slow you down, we're going to force you to have to take the ball down the field methodically and limit the possessions, they're able to still find a way to win. So, again, going off script and finding a way to win is more impressive than when you get to play your style of game and dictate terms. You had them dictated for you, you find a way to get the win. And at the end of the day, that is the one stat that does matter most. So Troy stays undefeated in conference play with it.
And shout out to Dude, he did kind of put it in my ear specifically. What about Troy? You know, he did comment in your stream about Troy, even though I don't even think you was you playing FIU? I don't know. I can't remember. But I remember coming into the stream and the first comment after it welcomed me into the stream was, "What about those Troy Trojans?" you so so he definitely is impressive right now. 5-1. The passing game is doing well for him. 253 passing yards overall. Close victory. It could have went either way, but this will be key, like you said, for the division race in the Sun Belt, because there go your tiebreaker right there. It's head to head, first tiebreaker.
Yep.
But um I feel like moving forward that, Goose Crowder and company can win some more games. I'll say it like that. Win some more games.
Mhm.
Ranked? Not yet. But if you keep winning, I'll say by the next block or two, then yeah, I can see you being ranked for sure.
Yeah, it takes care of
It's,
itself. I
and it's
think.
the fact that
My
it's
bad.
the fact they got a receiver named Mojo and a quarterback named Goose is killing me.
Like some of these rosters, man, they make you laugh.
They
It's
do.
interesting though, because you got Southern Miss, Big Red. He's already had success in the Sun Belt before because he had Georgia Southern. Brady had success last season with App State. So
Yeah.
like on the radar, like going into the season, you're looking at the landscape like, well, we already know these two guys have been very successful in this conference, so you kind of expect them to do the same. It's really interesting to see Troy and Louisiana Monroe just kind of creeping under the radar. Lizzie doing the same with James Madison, like they're just doing their thing. No one's really paying any attention to them. We'll see how things may look when you get towards the end of the season and the spotlight may be shining on them in some of those big division games. And then the last game,
Definitely.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Definitely. I was just saying I agree with you on that.
All right. Well, we have one more game to look over for this block, and it was a very interesting one. And I got to watch this game. I'm like, huh, kind of caught me by surprise. Memphis wins. That's not surprising, but winning over UAB 24-17 really caught my eye. Smith, like Memphis offense has been really good. Jokers has just been killing it ever since he's taken over that squad. Smith out the backfield will just all purpose 129 yards, no touchdowns in this game. But the key thing to me was Memphis just was not able to pull away at all. UAB hung tough. They fought, but they just weren't able to produce enough points. So again, off script, Memphis would love to have a shootout and just basically just cut you deep with all these big plays on offense, but they're forced to play a different style of game, but they still find themselves on the winning end on this one, though. Very close. How did you feel about this game?
Man, I was shocked when see I didn't see the actual game. So once it was on the outline, I looked at the game and like you said, surprisingly it was close. It was low scoring. That's something that you don't really see anybody particularly do is hold Memphis down offensively. Usually Memphis will get at least, 30 points. And to hold them to under 30, especially with the UAB squad, that's, underachievement and, overwhelmed by talent versus the Memphis squad. Um, it's nice to see. It's nice to see. It's nice to see. In real life, this was an upset. Actually, this was
Yeah,
the downfall of
of
Memphis's
Memphis.
season.
Yeah,
Actually, yeah, because Memphis was, I think, ranked like 19th or 20th at the time of this game, and it went downhill for them in real life. So to see it almost happen in the NDL life as far as real life, that was shocking to see. It was shocking to see.
it
And
most
it
definitely
says
was.
it sets up how close the American race is going to be moving forward too. It's gonna, this result really is eye catching because it's gonna tell you that the rest of the games moving forward, the rest of the more important games moving forward, are going to be close as well. So you got to be on your toes when facing the ECUs, the Temples, the UTSAs of the world.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, credit to Coach Buckeye. Um, just going into the game, she was saying how, man, it's going to be such a tough game. I don't know what I'm going to do against this offense, but hey, I'll try to my best to figure something out and we'll see what happens. And what do you know, a 7 point loss. So again, it's a loss, but that's the confidence builder again going forward because you take the loss, you go back in the locker room, and you're talking to the guys like, hey, we almost had them. We had them on the ropes. We had them nervous. They were sweating. Let's bottle up this performance and take it with us going forward in the season. Well, that kind of covers most of the games we wanted to talk about from Block 4. Had a couple of storylines to talk about in general in the group of five that we could take from, up to this point in the season. The first one that stood out to me is, man, I feel like we're going to talk about this a little bit later too, but the MAC. It's looking to shape up like a three-team race for the conference championship bid. Buffalo and Western Michigan are both undefeated, not just in conference play, but overall. And then Central Michigan, they had a rough start with the Michigan Twins. Michigan and Michigan State, they lose both of those games, but they've rebounded nicely once they got into MAC play. They're undefeated as well. I know that we're going to talk about Western Michigan and Central Michigan coming up later in the show, but man, it's going to be a fun race between those three teams in MAC play. How do you see it playing out? And do you see a potential dark horse sneaking into the race late in the season?
Ooh. Dark Horse. I don't know about that one yet, but I do see in this upcoming Western Michigan Central Michigan game being basically the second team to be in the conference race because I really don't see, and I've kind of hinted at this throughout the season. I don't really see Andy getting beat in MAC play. So I do see him going undefeated and going into the MAC title game. But the Western Michigan Central Michigan game is definitely one that catches my eye, and I feel like it's going to be key to who represents the second slot in that title game. If I had to pick a dark horse, hmm, I would say maybe Ohio, but they haven't played enough games. So I would go with the commish. Good old 6 feet with Kent State. They're 1-1 in conference and 4-2 overall. Uh, Everybody else doesn't even have a win after that. A few teams only have played like 4 or 5 games, so they need to get their games played for sure. Definitely before they get locked up. Definitely need to play your games, MAC conference. But I don't really see too much of a dark horse coming out the MAC. But I do see that Central Michigan, Western Michigan game being key to who's going to be that other team facing Buffalo in the MAC title game. How do you see it playing out?
I'm gonna agree with you on Buffalo, but there is one. If I'm gonna go to dark horse, we're not gonna talk about this game, but Akron, they have kind of rebounded nicely over the last couple of blocks, and they have a big game against Buffalo. Like that's gonna be a tough one to win because Buffalo's offense has been really good. The funny thing is they were running the ball extremely well, and then now they're showing that hey, we you want to key on the run, we're just going to start pushing the ball down the field and creating havoc in the passing game. So their offense is extremely difficult to match up against. Akron will have his hands full, but if he could somehow sneak that game, he puts himself right back in or puts himself into the race. That's really the only guy that I could see in being able to kind of step in. It's going to kind of be the same thing as you. I see Buffalo getting one of the spots, and then one of between Central Michigan and Western Michigan, one of them gets the other spot. So yeah, this upcoming game is going to be key, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Definitely, definitely. The other conference that is heating up, and we already touched on it a little bit, recapping some of the Block 4 games, is the Sun Belt. You got the East Division with Coastal being at 2-2, and JMU and App State, atop the division at 3-1. And then you got the West Division that we already touched on with Troy being undefeated and having that tiebreaker over ULM. Southern Miss at 2-1, and ULM, also at 3-1 as well. Um, those tiebreakers are going to go into play with that division. How do you see it shaking out?
The East has gotten really interesting. We were talking last pod about what's going on with App State, and this was one of those blocks like, hey, they got to play Coastal. They really need to get a win, so they can stay in this division race because that loss would have been no, could have been a very hurtful loss. But since we've had that talk, they put up 62, 42, and 31. So it looks like they've figured some stuff out. App State's 4-4 on the season. Probably not the record that he was hoping for, but more importantly, it's 3-1 in conference and Coastal. They took two losses since the last pod. So now, James Madison has entered the chat. Glizzy 3-1 along with App State. That's going to be a fun matchup that we'll talk about on the next episode because that's coming in week 12. So that division is that could come down to that game. Coastal, oh man, the tough loss to App State, but they just outmatched with that run game. And the thing that's been noted in the App State games, I was able to check out a couple of them. When they pass, it's very deliberate, and they've been able to get what they wanted in the passing game. Easier looks because of how effective the run game is. Those blitzes, when you have single coverage with the receivers or you're blitzing and vacating areas of the field, they've been able to find those soft spots in the defense and take advantage. So we'll have to see if they keep doing that going forward. As for the other division, the West will be really interesting because you have the three that we kind of talked about earlier: Southern Miss, ULM, and Troy. Well, Southern Miss lost to ULM and ULM lost to Troy. Will Troy lose to Southern Miss? We could still end up with a silly tiebreaker anyway with the division, which would be hilarious. But that game obviously is going to be really important at the end of the season. The key thing right now, though, is if you know you're in that race, Southern Miss, a tough loss to ULM that just happened today. So, hey, reset. Still got other conference games. Take care of business and make that game against Troy a game that really matters because that tiebreaker with Troy potentially could push them to a division title anyway and put them in the conference championship game. There's still so much to happen. The key thing in this one is all three teams have looked good. They'll have to continue to look good against the other teams to make sure that they're able to stay in the race. What about you? How do you see things?
I think we're gonna go to a tiebreaker in the West for sure. I think it's gonna definitely be a tiebreaker. It's already five different teams with one loss and only one team that's undefeated. So they definitely gonna go through a tiebreaker. Now, with JMU and Apps, hold on, got a phone call there. My bad. With JMU and App State, I believe they play correct.
They play week 12, so it's coming.
So that game is going to determine that division. I feel like no one else in that division is going to be up to snuff with those two teams. So that Week 12 matchup between both of them is going to decide the East. Now with the West is going to be a tiebreaker. Like I said, don't know who the tiebreaker is going to be. I'm going to say at least three of those teams that we've mentioned, and including ULL, Louisiana Lafayette. Um, I feel like three of those teams are going to be tied for first for that division, and we're going to go through saber metrics to go through the tiebreaker.
Uh, Even when you get divisions, you still may have a mess. But hey, at least they tried. They try to make it a little more manageable.
Definitely, definitely.
And then the last storyline we want to talk about, it's not necessarily like a conference storyline, it's just a general storyline. Something that I noticed, you know, we're looking at what's going on in the G5, and it really stood out to me. When you start the season out, most teams start out with conference out of conference games, and you're matching up with whoever you match up with, whether it's similar rated teams, coaches that you've played in the past, that you just have like a coach rivalry going, or hey, I'm new to the league and I'm just throwing my hat out there. Whoever wants to play me, play me. And you're really trying to figure out your team. A lot of these teams that we're going to talk about are coming in with a new roster. We have to find the limitations, we have to find the strengths, and you're figuring that out over the course of the game. So when you get off to a slow start, it can be very discouraging. But when you get things rolling, man, it feels pretty good. And there's a handful of teams that had that look to the season. Well, Sam Houston and Louisiana Tech started out 0-4. They are now both 3-4. San Diego State started out 1-2. He had a rough season last season as well, Big Z. Now he sits at 4-2. And then Akron, 1-3 to start the season, sitting at 500 today at 4-4. All those teams are looking like San Diego State's a little bit different because they were 1-2, so you're not quite, 0-3 or 0-4. But given the season that he had last season to start, you're like, oh man, here we go again. Go a couple weeks later, they're sitting at close to 500 or better, and you have bowl games or opportunities in the conference, potentially continue to roll and find yourself in a conference championship game. Really cool to see. What did you think about when you saw this bullet point? What did you think about these guys?
I thought that I thought that turning it around is something special because it could, when you start off slow, it could be demoralizing mentally, like in your brain, because just like in real life, in the video game world, we're in a competitive space. For one, we're in a competitive space. So for you to drop two, three, four in a row, that could be demoralizing mentally because pride is on the line and you like, can I do it? Or what am I doing here? You start to doubt yourself. So to be able to turn it around like those teams have so far, to go from, like you said, Sam Houston, La Tech 0 and 4, and San Diego 1 and 2, and Akron 1 and 3, to go come from that to being on the steps of being bowl eligible, that's pretty impressive because you got to dig yourself. You got to have the mental capacity to be like, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to start now and we're going to do it. And we are going to make sure that we change our game plans and figure things out. And then once you implement those things into the next few games and you see it working, now your whole mental capacity is different. And now you like, I can do this. I will do this. I'm confident I can do whatever. We can take this team and win the rest of the games in a row. We can go 9-3, 8-4, what have you. And now I can achieve my win goals and conference goals or whatever you have set up for your team. You feel like you can achieve anything once you win 3, 4 in a row. So I think it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we share that thought for sure. And I'll definitely be watching those teams going forward to see if they can finish the job. Because having the slow start and at the very least being able to say, "Hey, we made it to a bowl game," that's got to feel really good. And some teams
That's true.
obviously the potential is even higher. So we'll have to see. But now we
That's
get a
true.
chance to look forward as the block opened. Well, game day was last night. The block opened officially today. And we've got some matchups that caught our eye to take a look at. We'll start out in the Mountain West. Colorado State hosting Wyoming. You knew Colorado State was going to get brought up the way we talked about that Fresno game. Both teams are winless in conference play, looking to get that first Mountain West dub. The question I have for you, sir, is can Colorado State take that game against Fresno and keep that momentum going?
Ah, yeah, yeah, they can. Wyoming has been struggling so far. I feel like Colorado State, now that they have that momentum, can definitely take off like we did with some of those teams we just talked about. I feel like they can definitely take off and win that first conference win and potentially win about two or three in a row. Um, I see Colorado State taking it. It will be a close game. Probably a 7 to 10 point win for Colorado State, but it'll be close. What about you?
I think the same. I think this will be a low scoring game. This is going to
Yeah,
be
I
like
was, I
a
was, you know,
21-17,
I was thinking,
24-20, something like that.
I was thinking 24-17.
Okay. I think Colorado State will be able to bottle it up. I know their fan base will be super happy to have the team home. Like, man, you're pumped up. We almost pulled off an upset against a ranked squad. Now we get to come home, and they're looking for their first one of the season. So, I think this is a big one. I know that Mark is busy with other things right now. It's that time of year for him. So you got to strike while the iron is hot. Colorado State, like this, if they're going to win a game, it has to be this one. They get this one. Maybe this is, like you said, the start of something good for them going into the second half of the season.
Yeah, Mark got way more important things to worry about. Got a good squad this year at Portland, so
Yeah.
got a lot of other things to worry about. The next game we got on the docket is Georgia State and South Alabama. Both teams only got one win combined. But the question here is, does Big Rye get that first win of the season over Georgia State?
I'm emptying out the savings, putting it all money line, South Alabama.
Oh wow.
It's
Oh
gonna
wow.
happen this week.
Oh wow.
It's gonna happen this week. I'm calling it now. This is my hot take. I don't know if it's even a hot take, but this is my most confident pick of the week. I think he's going to find it. I know he's going to say it too. I saw him someone like kind of talk about, hey, like in the Sun Belt chat, which is hilarious. Andy chimed in too, and they're like, get the hell out of here. This is a sacred place. But it's like he just played Buffalo and it went rough. And he's 0-7 right now. Only got 5 shots left of getting a win. I just feel that it's going to happen this week. Georgia State has struggled as well. They're 1-5. The difference is Bagel's defense has been interesting the last couple of seasons because there's spots that it plays well and then spots where it's just like everything just looks like it's open. Like they just it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's just you can't stop anything. If there was ever a game offensively that South Alabama could get it going, it would be this one. I think the difference will be they're at home. Close game, 7 point. The first win comes, I believe. I believe. I hope you believe too.
No. Georgia State is gonna get the victory. They're gonna win by 3. It's gonna be close. Don't get Big Rod shot. It's gonna be close. He's gonna um have the lead, and then Georgia State is gonna easily, just not easily, but they're gonna come back and win the game by 3. Game winning field goal by Georgia State. Not this week. Not this week.
uh, we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Now the
Uh,
next game we got is Memphis and South Florida. A game that will not be low scoring. I
that is
will
for sure.
predict that now. Total point over under is about 82 and a half. I'm going with the over. Both teams are 2-0, and they both got high power offenses, as I said. Go with the over on the total points. Um, how do you see this game shaping out? And who do you think is winning?
Oh boy, this is a tough one because I feel like my head says take Memphis, even after you may say, hey, they just had a game against UAB where they struggled some on offense and they had to eke out a win or hold on to win. Like, but do you feel super confident in the win given their history? I think would be the question. South Florida has looked really good as well. No, they had that game against Tennessee. No, Jokers knows Tennessee really well. Rocky Top and all that. I think that this is going to be a surprising game for some. And I say surprising in the fact it's not that I think Jordan winning this game would be surprising. I think it's more that Joker's having a loss in conference play would be surprising because he's been able to pretty much dominate in the American for the most part since he's been there. I don't know. I just have a gut feeling that South Florida at home is going to find a way to win this game. And I'm definitely taking the over too. I may double down midway through the first and bet again.
I'm taking the over, but I'm taking Memphis. It's hard to doubt Memphis. Um, and Joker. I have faith in Joker. There's no disrespect to Jordan at all. I have faith in both of them, actually. I have faith in both of them. That's why I say take the over on the total points. Because I have faith in both of them. Um, but if I had to pick a winner, it would be Jokers in Memphis. I feel like their offense is just a little bit too high power for South Florida. And South Florida's defense is a lot of bit suspect. A lot of bit suspect. So I feel like it's gonna be a 50-45 game, actually. So
Whoever has the ball last.
Yeah, one of those type things. The next games, we're just gonna call this the Fresno block. Fresno has SDSU and Boise. Basically, their season is on the line right here. Now, I posed this question earlier, and I'm going to pose it again. Instead of really just talking about the games and all of that, can Fresno go undefeated in the Mountain West?
They can. I don't think they do.
Do you think they will though? Do you think they will go undefeated in the Mountain West? And if you don't think that, who do you think they're going to lose to out of these two teams? Because I really don't see a loss after this. So who do you think is going to beat Fresno out of these two teams?
I'm gonna be. I know this is gonna come off as me being a homer, and I like what Fresno has done too. But I think San Diego State is going to pull off the upset at home. They're playing good football right now. I mean, defensively is no, it is what it is, but they're figuring things out on offense, and it looks like they're in a rhythm. They have an identity. They're in a groove. I think they're going to find a way to be able to get this win at home. Now, the tough part will be slowing down the rushing attack of the Bulldogs, but I think that the Aztecs will find just enough to do that. It'll be a close game. And then that's going to set up the second game against Boise. We know that IROC likes to run the ball. He's passed the ball a bit more in the last couple of seasons. And obviously losing Genty would make you do that as well. But still, collectively, he's able to run the ball well. He doesn't have that home run hitter that Fresno has. So the question will be, which run defense will play better? I think that's going to be a close game too, and it's going to come down to the arms of the quarterback. I think Fresno will eke it out at home, but they'll probably have to if they lose to SDSU. So the if I'm going by the timeline here, they lose to SDSU, and then it's like, hey, we have a conference loss. We can't have a second. This turns into a must-win scenario against Boise. We got to find a way to get this win, and I think they do. So that's how I see Fresno's block playing out. I'm sure yours is probably different.
You know, no, actually.
Oh, okay.
I think they more than likely will lose to San Diego State. Only because I see that this season, um, IROC has really struggled with the pass. So he can run the ball, but he struggled once he's had to pass. So I think Coach Tutty is going to make him, being that he is a coach in real life, uh, going to make the adjustment and have him, score enough points to make him have to pass. And being that Boise struggles with the pass, it's going to be an uphill battle for Boise to try to get back in the game. But I do see San Diego State potentially pulling the upset. They have enough speed, they have enough talent on both sides of the ball, and the matchup kind of favors SDSU because of the defense. That's going to be the best defense he's going to play all year. Is that San Diego State defense? That is going to be the best defense he plays all year. So can he step up to that level of defense that he pretty much hadn't really seen all year?
And let me add something to this too. Some of you viewers may not be aware of this, but I can speak on this as alum of the Aztecs. This is a rivalry game too, so this will make things very interesting, I'm sure, once the game is booted up for both players, with it being a rivalry game, probably momentum swings will be a little more crazy in this game. And with it being at home, know Snapdragon will be hopping. I think that the Aztecs will find a way to pull it out. The rivalry game makes it just adds to the emphasis on this game. I really like it.
Yeah, yeah, I like it too. I like it too, and I like that we was agreeing there. You know,
Yeah,
we
but will we,
agreed exactly. Like
are we going to agree on this next game though? Because the
oh
next game is a big game. It's probably the biggest game of the block, in my opinion.
yes, 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 it is. Yes, it is. The Battle
Western,
of the Little Michigans.
yes, the little brothers doing battle.
Western Michigan and Central Michigan rivalry game. Somebody's getting the conference loss. Central Michigan also plays Buffalo, so this is going to be huge for them tiebreaker wise. Who do you see winning this game, and how do you see it playing out?
The crazy thing is how it plays out. I'll admit, I honestly have no idea because watching Chips games and watching Chops games, I feel like they legitimately have their own story. Like it's like being in college writing a paper, and you know, people that don't procrastinate can outline everything and work on it over time, and it goes exactly as you expect it to go. But when you're backed up and you're procrastinating and that night of you're trying to write that 7-page paper, it just kind of goes however it goes until it gets done. I feel like this is going to be one of those games that's going to be the same because that's how their season's gone. There's no like, it just doesn't seem like anything necessarily is on script for either one of these teams. So why would it go the same way in a rivalry game? I really think that this is a very important game for Central Michigan. The reason being, Western Michigan does not play Buffalo at all. So if Western Michigan were to lose this game, yeah, they lose a tiebreaker to Central Michigan, but Central Michigan has to play Buffalo. But if Western Michigan were to win this game, essentially that could those two games for Chip could knock him out of the conference championship picture. It's very important that Chip wins this game. It's at home. I know he knows the Broncos really well. I think it'll be a fun matchup. Chip has, in my opinion, he has to have this game knowing that Buffalo is coming on the horizon. I think Chip finds a way to get the win. What do you see, sir?
I believe that Chip is going to get a win here because he has to get a win. This is a must win for him. As you highlighted, he does play Buffalo. He's essentially out. I already feel how I feel about Buffalo. So it's a lot on the line in this game here because I don't think he's going to beat Buffalo at all. Like I said, I believe Buffalo is going to go undefeated with Coach Andy in the MAC. So him taking back to back losses like that is going to basically end his season as far as being a MAC champion. And it's going to be Western Michigan Buffalo in the title game if Western Michigan wins. But I see Chip pulling it out. Chip is a big game person. I feel like he's going to be motivated, rapping, and going along on his stream. And I feel like he's going to pull away with the win on this.
It being at home is definitely a plus. Like rivalry
Yes,
games can
yes,
always have their own, like kind of their own adventure, but being at home definitely benefits you.
yes. Being at home definitely benefits you.
This will be interesting to see for Chop because given the schedule that he's had so far, yes, he's ranked now, You play the teams on your schedule. He's 6-0, but this will be the first game where I look at, from their perspective, from Bronco land as this is a litmus test. Where do you really stand in the landscape of what's going on in the MAC? I'm curious to see how he performs in this game. So a lot of interesting
Same,
stuff going on.
same. And I wonder what style of game is it going to be? Because like we've said and like we've highlighted, he's played every which type of way. So what kind of game is this is going to be? That'll be one of the storylines of that game. Like what type of game is it going to be? Because like we see both of these teams really can play any type of style of game. So what game are we going to see?
Yep. I look forward to catching that. Hopefully, that'll be one that is not while I'm working, so I can tune into that because that'll be a fun watch for sure.
Same here.
And then our last game, I feel like you would love this game because I know you're familiar with both teams. A Conference USA matchup. We've got Louisiana Tech. I'm sure you know them very well.
I do.
And Sam Houston, former stomping grounds for you. So
Definitely,
you know them
definitely.
well too. As we
Won a
highlighted
won,
earlier.
won a bowl game. Yes, definitely, definitely.
Yep. They both started 0-4. As we mentioned earlier, they're now 3-4. So someone's momentum is going to get snuffed out a little bit. You have a fun matchup. Sam Houston, I know Porter has kind of popped on the scene, but the run game has been solid for them so far this season and defense. I always talk about defense being an issue for a lot of teams. They have played pretty solid defense this season, and they're going to be taking on Louisiana Tech, who runs a unique style of offense I don't think too many people have seen in the league. So if you get a chance to check out Tech, this could be a game to check them out. They run a pistol style offense. I do not really see that in the NDL. Can't remember the last time I have.
It is
So
unique. It
it,
is unique.
it should be a fun watch. So I have to ask you, who are you picking to win this one? Someone's going 4-4. Someone's going to 3-5. Who's getting back to 500?
Because of the uniqueness of the offense, and I know he's trying stuff on defense, so I know he's going to be prepared for Porter. I feel like Louisiana Tech is going to get the victory because he has such a unique offense that he runs. The pistol offense is very unique because you can do some flex bone concepts from the pistol, and he does do that. And it's very unique, and he knows his personnel. So the fact that you know your personnel, being a first year coach, and you understand your personnel already, means that you're getting a lot of games in. That's one. And two, oh, God, I had a phone call there. My bad.
No, you're
You get phone calls during the pod, I swear.
good.
Um, and then I then lost all momentum on my train of thought. But you have that unique offense, and you're trying stuff on defense. So I know he's going to game plan, definitely for Porter. I'm not saying it's a one game wonder, but I don't see him gaining 400 yards again. For the rest of the season. I feel like that was just a one game sample size, and stuff happened and it happened. But um, I feel like Louisiana Tech is going to get the victory here. What about you?
That's a tough one for me because as someone who has played against the military schools, being in the American when I had Tulane, it is tough when you face a unique offense because like if you come out and like just someone comes out in shotgun, there's things you're looking for on defense. You look at the formation, there's things you're looking for, there's things you may be expecting. When you look at a bone style offense, it's hard to do that, and it's also hard to not react to what you're seeing. And when I say that, I mean people going in motion and all the movement. It's hard to stay disciplined and not let that create a bigger problem for you. So defensively, Sam Houston is going to have, I think they're going to have some struggles. The question is, will they be able to limit the big plays? They've been doing a good job of that for the most part because even early on in the season, it was more of long drives that turn into scores. They just couldn't get off the field as opposed to, hey, we're giving up a 70-yard touchdown, we're giving up an 80-yard run. And then for Sam Houston, their offense, the focus, I know most people probably look at Porter, but I'm looking at what does the passing game do? Because I think Porter will have the attention of the defensive coordinator. And I'm looking at the quarterback and the receivers like, hey, the focus, the middle of the field is probably going to be on trying to take away Porter and making this offense one dimensional. On the early downs, are you going to be able to have success and put yourself in a second and manageable, third and manageable where the playbook's open? I don't know. Something about Sam Houston, I can't put my finger on them right now. They're on a roll. They're feeling confident. They're at home. Close game. I think probably I will never say a game would really go to overtime because there's just too much that could happen not to, but I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
if it did. Like I think that the uniqueness of the offense by Louisiana Tech, especially in the first half, if Sam Houston can weather the storm, I think that they'll find themselves, still playing in a close game. And I do think this game will end up going to overtime. But Sam Houston, give them the nod at home. Should be a really fun game. Another game that I will like to watch if I get the opportunity to.
Now we gonna go to the next segment and go list our top five, our power rankings for the G5. What do you have?
Well, this was a little bit easier for me because I actually did my poll before the podcast outline. So it was a lot easier to get my top five because I just went off of my poll. Um, I have ECU first. I think, they move up ahead of Washington State. Washington State lost in the Apple Cup, so they stay number one right now in the G5. I have Washington State at number two. Buffalo is coming, but Washington State, they had a higher starting point for where our expectations were at the beginning of the season. Western Michigan for me moves into the four spot, and then I have Fresno State at five. And just for disclosure, not that you guys wouldn't be able to see anyway, if you looked at the breakdown of the poll votes, which let me tell you is always interesting to do. Definitely
Oh yeah.
very interesting today. But nonetheless, I did vote for all five of these teams in the top 25, by far the most I've had this season. But I'll just be honest with you, man. 15 through 25 was tough to vote for. So it was
Yeah.
tough sledding, but I had all five of these teams in there, and I think they are all deserving.
Not, and my top five is similar to yours. I didn't look at it at all. I looked at how I ranked them, and I ranked them the same way. I ranked ECU first, ranked the Cougs second, Buffalo third, Western Michigan fourth, and Fresno State fifth. I ranked them in that order in the top 25. Matter of fact, my top 25 is so close to the actual top 25 in the media that the only two teams that I don't have in the top 25 is, I believe, Pittsburgh and uh, Arkansas. I replaced them with Florida State and I believe Texas Tech, or no, Wisconsin. It was Wisconsin and Florida State. They had big weeks last block, so I rewarded them. And but I easily could have put Arkansas and Pittsburgh. That was a difficult decision. Was those last few spots, and I ended up putting Wisconsin and Florida State there, even though Florida State just shit the bed today. Um,
Hey, it was
losing the
today.
weight,
It wasn't
losing to
yesterday.
weight. Oh, it was yesterday. Yesterday, shit the bed. Wait, yeah, about that made me look like shit. All right.
No,
So it's no disrespect to Arkansas or Pittsburgh at all. I was just rewarding them for big weeks. Wisconsin and Florida State. But my top 25 was basically the media's top 25, almost to a T.
I'm gonna apologize in advance. I don't have it up right now. I'm pretty sure that I did not have Wisconsin in my top 25, but I ended up dropping them to move them with another team and forgot to put them back in. So RB, I'm sorry. Please don't hate. I hate doing that so much. Like I should double check my list. Like, because normally I have a top 30, 30 to 35 on the side, and then I'm just like, okay, how do I want to slot the teams? I move them and then I translate it over to the site. But when I had a second thought on Wisconsin and wanted to move them, but I forgot to put them back. So that's on me. Um,
Which which teams not listed in our top five have the most to gain?
I think SCSU, looking at that game against Fresno, a rivalry game and a win. I think that it may not get them into my top five in the power rankings, but it definitely gets them pretty close for sure. That would be a big one.
I think in Central Michigan, everything's on the line with them. Everything is on the line as far as conference wise. Everything is on the line with them with this game. So they have the most to gain.
All right. Well, I'm gonna swap this here because I know what it says we're going to next, but I'm gonna swap it. Let's keep it all NDL, and then we'll swap to the non-NDL stuff. So I'm gonna go skip
Okay.
to the shout out. And my shout out this week is to UAB. Coach Buckeye, these a taking the rope approach with the out of conference schedule, especially with a G5. That can't be fun. MC, you know who MC has. Wilds, you know who Wilds has. And Big Red looks like a coach rivalry, and then Andy with Buffalo. Like that is a really tough 4 game slate with a subpar team. And welcomes a challenge, a tough matchup against Memphis, wasn't able to pull it out, but still 2-4 on the season. With all that said, do you have a game against Big Red coming up soon? But they're looking to, go 6-6 at UAB, get into a bowl game, and I think it's going to happen. So a shout out to the tough schedule and that matchup against Memphis, almost able to pull it out, and one of the few people that has been able to semi slow down the Memphis offense since Joker's taken that head coaching spot.
My shout out of the week is to Coach K. Dot and Sam Houston. Like we already said, he started pretty bad. As a new coach, starting pretty bad is a humbling experience because a lot of these new coaches come in flying high. Oh, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this. And rumble, young man, rumble. I'm gonna be the champion of the world. Nope, nope, nope. That doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes you get humbled, and he got humbled, but he bounced back. Like I said, that mental space that he was in, he got out of it and persevered, and has won 3 in a row. And he's finding his groove. He's definitely finding his groove. So shout out to him.
All right. Now for some fun stuff. The holidays are coming up. Christmas is in less than a week. I am so happy. Christmas is in less than a week. So last week we talked about some of our best and worst gaming moments growing up. We're all gamers here. Some of us, like El Jefe, got to start with, I imagine, maybe what PS2 was his first console growing up. Maybe PS3. Maybe I'm making him feel too
PS
old.
PS3, valid PS3.
Meanwhile, my first console growing up was the NES. And I know there's some guys that had the Commodore, I'm sure, as their first. So,
Whoa,
not
whoa,
naming any names, but
whoa.
I wanted to talk about Christmas because I think that's
The
one thing.
Atari.
It's one thing
What?
we could all relate to because we're all gamers, and I would assume most of us have some pretty central moments to video games around Christmas time. So I want to ask you first, Vic. Speak of Christmas, what is your
Mm.
favorite? I don't even think I want to go worse because I don't want anything negative. It's Christmas. You want positivity around Christmas. So give me a couple of your favorite moments with video games around Christmas.
I don't have a worst gaming moment when it comes to Christmas. So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
that
Because when I
that
posed the question, I'm like,
yeah.
why would you have a bad one?
Yeah, I don't have a worse one. Best one was getting a Nintendo 64. Actually, that was the best moment right there. Got a Nintendo 64 with NBA Live on it. Loved it. Loved it. That was my best Christmas moment right there.
Nice. Give me another
Second
one.
best, second best Christmas moment. Oh, I was. I got you.
Okay.
Second best Christmas moment is getting the PSP. People do not know
Ooh.
how goaded the
Ooh.
PSP was. The only PlayStation device, Sony gaming device I did have, and I saved it. I saved it because y'all know my story with Sony and PlayStation. But the only PlayStation device I did have was the PSP and the PS Vita, of course. But I had the PSP. When I tell you that console handheld is goaded, it is goaded. Top five system had all the games. It's so goaded. PSP is underrated and goaded, especially if you knew somebody who could hack into them.
Oh yeah.
And once you got an unhacked PSP, the world was yours. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. The entire world was yours.
Oh, I feel like we'll have to talk about this off stream.
Oh my god,
Because
that was
there's yeah, I have a story. I don't want to share it on stream. It's not bad, but I need permission from another coach before I share it on stream first. And I'm sure he's not around right now. So we'll skip that. Um, I can give you two. One is really embarrassing. Like I'm actually like about to tear up from laughing. I'm trying not to laugh from how embarrassing it is. So, um, oh man. Oh, when my parents hear this, they're gonna laugh so hard because it's so true. So I was living in Germany and we got stuff like later than the mainland in the US. And my one of my friends that lived upstairs, his name was Nick. He was a gamer as well. So I want to say at the time I had a Genesis in my room. The Super Nintendo was in the living room. So you're not supposed to play the Genesis. And he also had a Genesis. So we used to be able to trade games. We should like, hey, borrow this. I'm gonna borrow this. We played against each other, blah, 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 whatever. But his birthday was December 4th, a month after mine. And he got a PS1 for his birthday. And man, I tell you, was I was up there quite a bit because Weeby plays the PS1. And man, I'm like, man, this is so cool. It's 3D and just I just like as a gamer, I thought it was super, super cool. And I remember that year for Christmas, parents like come up with a Christmas list and I put a PS1 and I didn't expect to get it, but I put it and I'm just like, cool, 'cause I was still like very happy with playing the Genesis. And let me tell you, man, we start opening presents and we had friends over because we're living in Germany, so some people are living away from their families are in the States and they weren't able to go home. So my parents had invited some people over to spend Christmas with us and we're opening the gifts. And man, when I open up that PS1, if anyone has seen the video on YouTube of the Nintendo 64 kid on my life,
oh yeah.
that was me. on my life, that was me. I was so happy, and I remember the first game I played was a game against man against my dad, and he like destroyed me, beat me by like 40 points. He's like,
Dang.
before I put this in your room, we're playing a game. I'm like, I don't want to play because I didn't want to play him. I wanted to play my other games. So I got a couple of games. I'm a big fighting game fan, so I got Street Fighter Alpha, so I was really excited for that. And man, my dad beat my ass. But then, yeah, once that game went in the room, or that system went in the room, it was a wrap. That kept me out of trouble because all I had to do was take the controllers, or later on, as they found out, when that wasn't good enough, just take the power cables. But my second memory is also, I think, a funny one for me, not necessarily for my mom at the time. So back when, yeah, El Jefe doesn't know about life like this, and J Camp either. So back in the day, we used to have demo discs, and you get the
Yeah.
PlayStation magazine. It would come with a demo disc,
Yes.
and you'd have a couple of demos, but then you'd have the trailers that would be loaded on them as well. And
Yes.
I used to just like my dad would get me the magazine every month, so it was an opportunity for you to try something that maybe you didn't know if you would like or not, and then potentially get it down the road. Now it's different because we have YouTube, Twitch, Kick, hell, Facebook Game, like all these other platforms that you can actually go see the game played and see if you actually like it.
Yeah.
Oh, before I continue, NTX says first time I beat my dad on Madden 96, he said, "That's good, you won. Clean your room."
Man
Shake
90.
my head, clean my room because you're mad I won.
Man 96.
Man, the first time I beat
Good
my dad
Jesus.
NTX, it was in NBA Live on Super Nintendo. I don't remember the year, but I remember Kenny and it was Eastern All Stars versus Western All Stars, and Kenny Anderson made a three for me at the buzzer to win, instantly grounded. Best time ever because my mom comes in the room. What are you doing? Like, dad grounded me because I beat him. Just straight
Oh
up,
my
just
God.
straight up sold him out. Got my dad shoot out for that. But so we get the demo disc, and that particular magazine had a feature on this little game that I'm sure no one's ever heard of before called Metal Gear Solid. And I tell you, I stopped playing everything else. Solely just played that demo nonstop. And it wasn't super long if you played. Like I experimented with some stuff. I mean, I played that demo so much, and I was telling my parents about it and everything. So when it came time for Christmas that year, that's the only thing I put on my list. Didn't want anything else at all. Didn't even want another game. Like I just want Metal Gear Solid. That's it. And what I did not know is the backstory behind how I got the game. So let me tell you, I got the game for Christmas, and my parents were very nice and let me open it first so I could get all that enjoyment out my system and then open up the rest of the stuff. And I got a couple of games that year. I did not play Metal Gear at all. We eat dinner. After dinner, I go back to playing games. I don't play Metal Gear at all. And I'm like, man, my mom is giving me the silent treatment. I noticed it, but I didn't understand why. And my dad came in there later. It's like, what's wrong with you? Like, what do you mean, what's wrong with me? Like, do you know how much trouble we went through? Like, that's the only game you wanted, and it's the only thing you haven't played. You've been talking about all these other games you got. You haven't even opened it yet. So again, we're living in Germany at the time. My parents went to 5 different bases in Germany trying to find that game. And they ended up having to drive to a base an hour and a half away to get that game. Calling around, they found it, and so happy to get it. And my dad told me that. I'm like, wow, like I really appreciate it. It's like, well, it doesn't sound like you do because you haven't played it yet. Like, oh no. I haven't played it because I didn't want it. I'm waiting for everyone to go to sleep so no one can bother me once I do play it. The first time I ever pulled an all-nighter, I played that game as long as I could. When my parents woke up, I was still playing. I was just so into that game. It's still my favorite game of all time, and I just appreciate my parents. I did not know the trouble they went through to get it, but I tell you, when I opened, I saw that white case with those words in red. I was so happy, and I played through that game so much. I actually still have the copy of MGS1 that they got me. Yeah, I think
Wow.
that's the only PS1 game that I still have the original of. So, oh man, makes me want to boot it up right now. But I have to go. I need to get sleep before I go to work. I love that game so much. Uh, Christmas. Well, I know it's a Christmas spirit, but there is some, people that may be feeling a little down right now. And one of the reasons why, Vic, I know you're a wrestling fan just as I am. Someone had a
That
retirement match 7 days ago
ain't.
and lost, which the crowd definitely was pulling for just having him win going out. Tradition in wrestling is you lose on your way out.
Yes.
So I'll just ask the question in general, take it where you want. How did you feel about Cena's last match?
I feel like it went how it needed to go. I don't know why people are complaining or people wanted him to win. It went out exactly how it was supposed to. Gunther is a beat your ass type wrestler. He will find any way to beat your ass.
Those chops.
If that's power bombing you to hell, if that's chopping you to oblivion, if that's choking you out, he gonna find a way. Doesn't matter how he wins, that's how he wins. And so him being a heel and them establishing him as a heel, which is a bad guy for people who don't know. Um, you had to have put him in this spot. You couldn't put nobody else really in this spot unless it was a Randy Orton or Edge, and Edge is with another company, and Randy Orton is chilling, obviously, somewhere. And so if it wasn't gonna be them two, you had to do a new person. He was talking about putting new people over and giving the spotlight to new people. Gunther is fairly new, even though he's been champion. He's still fairly new, and the way to solidify him was to do that. Him tapping out was great as well because, for one, the whole never give up or his motto. He gave it his all. This was his last match. He didn't have anything else to give, so he gave up. That's why he tapped. Second of all, you if you know wrestling history like like you should, or like me and others do, it finally releases a stench from a certain person who did a despicable act. The last time John Cena tapped out was to Chris Benoit 20 plus years ago.
Hmm.
Now it's Gunther. So the final layer of Chris Benoit is gone now. You have nothing tied to him ever again, except for WrestleMania 20. But that was visual. That was visual. A visual evidence of something happening. So
Yeah.
can't erase that. But you can't erase some of the records and some of the stuff he's done in the company. And one of the things he did was tap out John Cena. He was the last person to ever do it, and now he's not the last person to ever do it. So that was a great thing all the way around. I enjoyed all of it.
I know I enjoyed the crowd because the crowd was really, really into it. And it's kind of funny because we have spent, and I say we, I'm talking about the general adult fan base of wrestling, have spent so many years booing the hell out of John Cena because we were tired of him winning all the time. And we've come full circle to show our appreciation for everything he's done for the business at the end by wanting him to go over, which is really interesting. So I was having a conversation with one of my managers at work who's a big wrestling fan. It's like, Sam, isn't Sting your favorite wrestler of all time? Yeah. How did you feel about Sting winning in his final match? Like, honestly, a little conflicted because I know what tradition says. You go out on your back. And Sting getting a win didn't really bother me as much as I thought it would when it happened because I was actually surprised. Now, yes, it was in a tag match, but still, him going
Only
out
that
with a
because it
win.
was that's what it was. It was a tag match. He wasn't in the main event scene. You're putting over Darby at the same time,
Yeah.
which is the person you've been with this whole time. Like you've been with Darby this whole time that you was in AEW. So that made sense for them to go out on top. For him to go out on top.
Yeah. He posed a question like, does should tradition come over everything? And I'm like, I think you could make exceptions in certain situations, but it depends on what the plan is. Because you also know, like me and you have talked, I'm a big Undertaker fan. So him losing at WrestleMania was also like one of those things where I kind of wondered at a certain point, would it be okay to just let him go out with the streak? I think I would have been okay with it, but I understand why he lost. So with Cena, it's kind of the same thing. I probably would have been okay with him winning on his way out, but I understand why he lost because it's gonna make Gunther's had a weird year. He goes in, goes into WrestleMania as a champ. He loses to Jay, he taps out, and he's kind of been, you know, in like this weird spot. He gets the title back, he loses the Punk, he kind of disappears. So if you're gonna establish him back as one of the top heels in the company, getting a win in this manner over Cena, the heat that he gets from it definitely warranted, and you could use that to help rebuild him going forward. I wouldn't say rebuild, just to help strengthen his build going forward. But pretty cool to see. Like I don't know if you've seen or if anyone is a wrestling fan, tune in to Cody Rhodes podcast where he interviews John Cena and Cena explains why he tapped out. And the explanation was S tier. Really loved it. It made a lot of sense. And yeah, even though I haven't been the biggest Cena fan, most of his career, still, it'll feel weird to watch wrestling and really not see him in the ring anymore. I know this happens in sports. It happens in wrestling. People get older. They eventually go away from the business. They have to live their life. They've given so much of it to it. But it is going to feel weird in the next couple of months knowing that, no, that's it. We're not going to see him wrestling in the ring anymore.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just the fact that he's always said that he wasn't gonna win if he had his last match. He always said that.
Yep. 100% tradition. Go out, putting someone over. Someone did a favor for you when you came in, you do it for someone else on your way out.
Yep.
Well, we got to end on a positive note. So I give the floor back to you,
Well,
sir.
no, no. We're gonna end it right here because I wasn't able to really think about a ball no effect of this week, only because I kind of go on theme, and this is traditionally a week where nothing really happens. And we've only had this 12-team playoff for now the second year, so can't be like, well, remember last year? No, we're not doing that.
Some would argue it's a
So
10-team playoff.
some may argue that, but next week, I will have two ball Baltimore facts because it will be deep in bowl season. So I will have two ball Baltimore facts next week.
All right. Well, if we'll cut it here. We'll see what the schedule looks like for the team next week. I don't know with Christmas, like everyone's got stuff going on. We'll have to see. I'm gonna just err on the side of caution and say that we're gonna take a week off and enjoy the holidays. Um, so everyone have a Merry Christmas, and we will see you on the other side of 2026.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, um, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all that good jazz. And we'll see you either the end of this year or next year. There we go.